Hey everyone, welcome to the Gaming X, and today we're excited to finally, after a request from a viewer in fact, be checking out Monster Energy Supercross on the Nintendo Switch. Now, we previously reviewed Milestone Games' title MXGP3 and we got a lot of pissed off reactions to our review, but we definitely stand by our 3 out of 10 score. That game can only be described as pretty much a train wreck, and we imagine most of that kickback was from those that unfortunately spent their hard-earned money on it. But is this port finally the Supercross game the Switch deserves? Let's jump in and find out. So before we do get started, if you are new here, then consider hitting subscribe. We appreciate all the support the YouTube community has given us, and we'd love to see you on future reviews. Your support, it allows us to continue to release videos just like this one, and more of you just means a bigger community of gamers to discuss them with and to request videos just like this one. With that being said, let's get started. So this one, it's going to be more of a comparison than a traditional review. If you want to dive deep into the game modes, some of the features included here, then check out our Xbox One review for the game. But in summary, what did we think of the Xbox variation? Well, the graphics in game, they were generally excellent. They were let down by some poor character models for celebration shots, but then the tracks, they looked the best they ever have, with a nice level of track deformation included. Overall, it was great work. Gameplay then not only had 17 official tracks, but it included a comprehensive track builder that essentially it made the title endless, and then sound and music, and while it's not fantastic, it delivered where it needed to, which was the sound effects, and these engines just sounded beastly. We ended up awarding it a solid 7 out of 10, but how does the Switch stand up? Let's start with graphics. So you'll immediately notice the drop in quality, and this was what I feared. As soon as I booted it up, things were different. Following on from fantastic ports such as Doom and Outlast, it amazes me the difference in these Milestone game titles. Track deformation here is pretty much gone entirely, except for some select corners. The rest of the track is just simply a muddy blur. The character models, they've taken a huge hit, and the tracks and overall imagery look pixelated throughout. Clearly this is something to do with Milestone's ability to support the Switch, but I can at least note one major improvement over MXGP3 on the Switch. Pop-in has, for the majority, gone. In fact, this is a much better looking game entirely. While it in no way stands up to previous versions, the tracks, even though they are pixelated and blurred, they still look semi-decent. I knew exactly what was happening. The environments and the bikes, they do the bare minimum that they need to. I just can't help but feel that this is a generation behind here. I don't feel like I'm playing the powerhouse machine that is the Switch that it's proven itself to be over the last 12 months. Then it's just the little things like the little bits of visual flair, like the kickback of mud from the bike on the back wheel. That's just been completely removed here. This is about as bare bones a version as you can get, like it's almost been adapted for an iPad graphically and not a competing console. So gameplay, and this was by far the biggest downfall for MXGP3, and I can say immediately this is better. Just don't take that as, well, good. Let's start with the problems and get them out the way here, and that's first of all and mainly the lack of content that we saw on previous versions on the Xbox One and PS4. First of all, track creation's just, well, been completely removed. You get the 17 official tracks and that's it, and they're by no means they're not bad at all. Just don't expect the same longevity you could get from another variation. Then the races themselves, like MXGP3 before, the race field's been cut down from 22 to 12. I wouldn't mind this so much, but what makes it even more obvious is when you go to that starting line, they're simply missing just empty bays. There's no attempt to at least try and mask this on the starting grid. Finally, frame rate, and this is, again, it's actually a huge improvement over MXGP3, a game that honestly was nearly unplayable at points, but it's still not perfect. When you find yourself trapped in a cluster of racers, or especially the opening turn of each race, you're going to find the frame rate dropping to a more than noticeable level. Fortunately, I can say this at least, Milestone did recognise this, and they've at least tried to, when this issue occurs, recover it as quickly as possible, and it won't be so noticeable. But then, as I said, there is good here still. The controls, they feel fantastic. The camera angles, they work well. The bike customization is as powerful as ever. And the variants in the race series you can choose from to give some different sort of lengths and different amounts of races, it gives you some fun options to play with. Overall though, the gameplay, it's been stripped of all its additional, shall we say, and it's simply a shell of its former self, leaving pretty much only the bare minimum required. Once I got past the frame rate drop at the opening though, I did still have a lot of fun. The machines, the bikes, they feel the same. The turning, it still feels tight. And the huge amount of customizable options, it lends itself to beginners or pros. And that's really where you can start to make this game either easier or harder with all of these assists that are available to you. Unfortunately though, my biggest complaint by far when it comes to gameplay, and my final note, is multiplayer is gone. Now it's not minimal, it's not another take on it like local play, it's simply been completely removed, and that for me, that's just an absolutely huge factor. AI controlled races, they only provide so much challenge and entertainment, and this is just again the same miss we saw on MXGP3. Just all we need is the simplest of modes. Just give us one or two single races, give us multiplayer in some form, even if it's on a split screen. So Sound of Music, and it's remained identical. Music which is poor but nothing shocking. It has a very limited amount of tracks looping, and I quickly turned them off. But the sound effects themselves are fantastic work. The engines, they kick and they give all the aggressive sound elements I would expect. It was one of my favourite things in my original review, and on the Switch it's actually probably my favourite part of the game. Finally, when it does come to play modes between handheld and docked, the difference is very minimal, unlike MXGP3 before it, and I know I've said that a lot in this review, but you're going to get a similar experience graphically and gameplay wise here with little difference, which is always a nice touch. That's what you hope the game will achieve. So the final verdict, a Monster Energy Supercross, is a good thing and a bad thing. The good, well, it's 10 times better than MXGP3 before it, I can tell you that. For one, this is actually playable. The bikes, they feel fantastic, the controls translate well, slowdown is minimal once past heavy traffic, and popping for the majority has gone. At least in the sense that it doesn't impact the track layout or your gameplay. But, of course, like I said, the bad, like MXGP3, it's a shell of its former self. Graphically, this looks previous generation. There is still elements of slowdown, the racing field has been cut considerably again, and then multiplayer and track creation has been completely removed, which is perhaps the biggest sin of this version. That's where most racing games get their longevity from, where you want to compete against friends or just those online, or even in the sense of just building new tracks. That makes a game nearly endless. So why would you not at least give us something like that, something to at least keep us coming back? For those who are diehard Supercross fans on the Switch and they need something, this, well, it works, and it's the best racing, well, at least motorbike racing game out right now for the console, but be willing to make compromise, and I think if you do that, you're gonna find enjoyment through the problems and limited content. For everyone else, it's improved on MXGP3, and maybe the next title, which I guess will be MXGP4, may finally be the dirt bike game the Switch deserves. I'll personally be sticking to Xbox and PS4 for the majority of my playtime, and maybe, unlike MXGP3, I might actually pick this one up when I'm on the go for a quick race or two. The Gaming X awards Monster Energy Supercross an average 5 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, and like we said at the beginning, if you are new here, then consider hitting subscribe for all your latest Nintendo Switch news and reviews. We truly appreciate the support from the YouTube community, and we'd love to see you join us. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next Gaming X.